Those with spoiled siblings. When did your parents realize they terribly messed up? I have a younger brother, 6 years younger than me. At the age of 4, he was diagnosed with high-functioning autism, and my parents began overindulging him. Aside from that, he seems perfectly normal, just unbelievably spoiled. Whatever I had, he had to have too, leading us to own duplicates of almost everything, except for shared items. If he had something I didn't, he would rub it in my face. When I was 11, I begged my parents for a 3DS for my 12th birthday. I got one, but was told I had to lend it to my brother whenever he wanted, or else they would take it away. My aunt witnessed my parents forcibly taking it from me to give to him during one of her visits, and she lashed out at them for their obvious favoritism. They returned the 3DS, then blamed me for the mess. After she left, they didn't make me lend it to him again, but a few days later, they bought him a brand new one. At birthdays, including mine, my brother would throw tantrums if the party wasn't entirely about him. He'd outright complain if he wasn't receiving gifts or didn't get to blow out the candles. My parents learned the hard way they couldn't enable his behavior at parties, even getting kicked out of a few. Eventually, other kids at his school stopped inviting him to their birthdays. For me, birthdays were the only days I could focus on myself, but every other day, my life revolved around my brother. The year before the incident, my parents spent most of my 13th birthday focusing on him. They even asked me if I'd let my brother blow out my candles because he was upset. I refused. They called me selfish until my aunt intervened, calling out their favoritism. Again, my brother cried, tried to spit on my cake, but my boyfriend stopped him. My parents faced harsh criticism from the other adults, promising never to ask me to let my brother blow out my candles again. From then on, my aunt took over the birthday planning. A couple of weeks before my next birthday, my parents informed me that they'd buy me some gifts and a small cake, but my party was canceled to avoid another meltdown from my brother. I was stunned, but they didn't seem to care. Over the next week, I told my friends, teachers, and even my school counselor. The vice principal heard and comforted me on social media. The news reached my parents, and they grounded me for sharing, but it didn't stop me. I kept telling everyone, which led several parents to confront them. Suddenly, I was ungrounded, but no apology came. I assumed my party was still canceled, but 2 weeks later, my parents threw a surprise party at my favorite restaurant. They claimed it was the plan all along, but I knew better. They clearly did it to salvage their reputation. They must have spent a lot to accommodate me, but at least I got the PlayStation 4 I had wanted. My brother threw a fit, but my parents finally set boundaries. For the first time since childhood, he was put in timeout. My mom had to take him to McDonald's to calm him down, and she spent an hour trying to drag him out of the play area. After I moved out at 18, my parents finally faced the consequences of raising my brother as a spoiled child. On his 14th birthday, he raged because they didn't buy him a PS5, causing thousands in damage. The last time I saw my parents, they seemed mentally checked out. My aunt said they wanted to send him to a military or boarding school, but couldn't afford it. I couldn't help but find the irony satisfying.